5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Project Egg Show. Today, we have the honor of speaking with Anthony Mendez. Anthony has 3 years of exercise science education, a diploma from Equinox Fitness Academy, a diploma in psychology, and he has partaken in over 30 health and fitness workshops led by the top fitness leaders in the industry. He holds 2 national certifications and 12 specialty certifications and has been a fitness professional for over 9 years, coaching and training hundreds of individuals, from the general population to disabled individuals, post-rehab, pre- and post-natal, you name it, Anthony's done it. In addition, he has worked with multiple big box gyms, including Equinox, and has run his own gym known as MSP Athletics. And he currently serves as a top athlete and trainer for PUMA and ONNIT, 2 of the biggest brands in the lifestyle and fitness industry. There are also so many other things that Anthony's done that I couldn't possibly encompass in this brief introduction. So without any further ado, please put your digital hands together and welcome Anthony. How you doing today, man?
Dude, I'm feeling pumped, especially after you saying that. I've never heard anybody introduce me like this with that voice, bro. So all I gotta say, bro, that was awesome. That was awesome. I truly appreciate it, man. Truly humbled to be on your show, man. And just looking to see what value I can bring to your audience and to you and see what I can share. So I'm really excited, man. I'm really excited.
Well, hey, man, the pleasure's mine, and I'm really grateful that you took the time to be out here. So let's jump right in. What is your story?
So I guess I'll start from the beginning. So basically, everything started for me was coming out of high school. Before I even got into training, coaching, high school in the athlete world was my whole thing. I was always an athlete. I've always loved sports. I always played sports since a young age. So I always knew that activity and sports and moving and just being active was something that was part of me. It was part of my identity, my DNA. It was something that made me. So I always knew that I wanted to continue doing that. And it wasn't really until I got an injury playing football, which thank God, it wasn't something super severe, but it was an injury. I tore my meniscus, and I had the option to do surgery, or I had the option to wait it out and do strength work, rehabilitation work for about 6 to 7 months and see where I end up being from there and hopefully ready for the next season. Luckily, this happened right after my season was over. So we were going into spring training. So thank God I didn't have to miss a season of football. But I did miss the spring, and I decided to go the route of not doing the surgery, because once I do the surgery, that's not reversible. And if I take the other option, the surgery is always there if I do need it. So I took the other route, and I was like, you know what? Let me go the alternative way, and let me see if I can get myself back up to par without having to do this. So I started working with sports medicine trainers, other athletic strength coaches, and they really took their time to help me grow, become better. And something that really hit me was when I was sitting there going through this rehab work and going through this strength work, and I would see how they would work with other people. And for me, I always wanted to help people, and I always enjoyed being around this environment. And that just kind of like, not saying like, oh man, I already knew, but it just sparked something where it's like, hey, I can see myself doing something like this. I can see myself helping people, coaching people, getting them from where they are now to this point in their life where they could become much better, or get them out of something that happened to them and get them back on track. So that's where my journey started, of envisioning certain things of how I want to start taking control of my life. So it was really through that injury experience that opened these gates. And then it wasn't really until my senior year. So yeah, I got to play. My knee was perfect. Thank God, nothing happened else to my knee, and I was able to play the next season, and I had a good season. And once that season was over, I knew I wasn't gonna go back to high school. I was a senior. Football's done. I'm not going to do spring training the next year because there is no next year. So it was kind of like I had to do something for, first of all, myself, to keep myself in shape. And I had to do something as far as start making money. I had my first car my senior year. I had certain things. I had to, you know, if I go on a date, I had to have money for that. So it's just kind of like I needed money and I needed to start working. I had to help out around the house. So it wasn't until my mom told me, hey, I think I can get you a personal training job at the gym I work at. Because my mom, she used to be a fitness instructor for teaching aerobics classes for over 23 years at Bally's, um, which now is LA Fitness. So she worked there and she was able to get me a job. And that's where everything started. It was in the personal training career. That's where things started building out from there. And that's where I started saying, okay, this can be something. Even though at first I was like, okay, this is just something to get me by. I was doing school as well. And, with the way society wants you to do things and hearing things from family, it was just, to me, it was like, okay, this is not going to be a career. This is just going to be something I do temporarily until I finish school. But going through that process, that's where things started, changing, and that's where I started seeing other things, other opportunities, other doors opening, and my eyes started opening. And my first year at Bally's, I want to say it was interesting. It was interesting because I learned a lot from myself, and I learned a lot through my process being at school, and I learned a lot as being a young trainer. So LA Fitness comes around, buys out Bally's. Bally's, I was there for a year. They buy out Bally's. They're cleaning house. Everybody's losing their jobs. And I'm like, man, I've only been here a year. Why are they going to keep me? So luckily they kept me. They said, we wanted guys that were fresh, that would learn our system, guys that were going to be able to easy to adapt. So they decided to keep me there. And I was with LA Fitness for about 3.5 years. And that was a great experience because I was able to learn, grow. I became a master trainer for them. And I was able to learn from certain managers, two managers that became, kind of mentors for me and be able to teach me how to connect with people, how to get to know people, how to, treat somebody on the floor and how to make sales. So that really is where I started learning my stuff. And it wasn't until I realized, switching back and forth through different degrees in school, from sports medicine to physical therapy to exercise science, I started saying, like, man, like, I started feeling like school really wasn't for me, and I felt like these things that I was learning at school, I was seeing that a lot of people, a lot of trainers were doing certs, doing workshops and all this stuff. And they were actually learning more how to become a coach through these workshops, these certs, these seminars, than just going to school, and I was just like, okay, I still kept doing school. I kept switching around different degrees. And one day, once towards the end of my LA Fitness career, I start talking to one of my family members, my aunt and my cousin, and they start telling me about Equinox. And Equinox is a higher end gym and, corporate company, but they're very prestige and they do very, very well. They prepare their trainers very well. They have like their own university for their school. That's how I got my Equinox diploma. So from there, I was like, you know what? I really enjoy the training. I really enjoy the coaching. I enjoy helping people, but I also need to start thinking about my future because I can't survive off LA Fitness money. I can't survive here, and I want to become a better trainer. I don't want to be stuck doing only this. I want to be able to expand. So I made that jump. That was the first jump I made. It was scary, but I had to do it. And my cousin, who lived in New York for about 4 years, she goes, look, they're having an academy at Equinox, New York, which is the only place they offered it. And she goes, I think it'd be a great way for you to experience what it is to learn from Equinox and see if this is something you want to do. You do the academy, you pay for it. If you are working for Equinox for more than a year, they reimburse you back the money. So I was like, perfect, let me do that. And I always wanted to leave Miami. I'm born and raised from Miami. I had always been in Miami. So I was like, you know what? I'll leave for 6 months. It was like 5 to 6 months. I'll go enjoy it. It'll be like a mini getaway kind of thing for almost half a year. And I'll learn. So I went to New York, packed all my stuff, left LA Fitness, went to New York, and I learned a lot. And it was just like, this really took my training to the whole next level. And this is where me as a person started shifting, my attitude, my training, my skills, everything started shifting from then, from that move of jumping from LA Fitness to New York. So I graduated with the Equinox Academy diploma, and I was actually going to stay in New York, but because of certain things, my cousin wanted to come back to Florida, and I ended up coming back to Florida. So I started working back in Miami again for Equinox Coral Gables, and I was there for 3 years. And I got to say, they were amazing 3 years. I learned a ton. I became a next level trainer. I learned a lot about sales. I was charging higher prices. So my value as a trainer went up. My prices went up. My confidence went up. This is where I started building more of that confidence, networking with more prestigious people, successful people. So I was around that environment, and that environment of those kind of people that I put myself around with started giving me hope and confidence to say, you know what, I can be there one day. I can do this one day. I can get to this level one day. I could be making this much money one day. And I started seeing Equinox as a career, because there was trainers making up to $150,000 a year. And I was like, you know what, that's not bad. $150 a year for being a personal trainer. You don't need a degree. And they have a university here where you keep learning and you keep growing. So I was like, cool. So I started doing, I was focusing on that. And then from there, me and my buddy, who we currently work together today, but at the time we wanted to, he presented me about a sportswear company, a mini sportswear company, something we wanted to do for fun and see where it can go. So we started that. And this is really where everything with social media started. This is where everything of my path of what I do currently now and what's given me the leverage, the opportunities that I have today with Onnit, PUMA, my brand, everything that I'm doing now, my trainings. This right here is where everything started with the social media, especially for my Instagram. And I had been on Instagram. I've always been an Instagram user since it started in 2010, 2011. And I would put stuff, little health tips, but nothing crazy. And I started taking it seriously around this time when we started doing the sportswear. So my buddy actually worked doing marketing for a big place here in Miami. And he's like, dude, let's do this. We'll take pictures for the sportswear. We'll do this. So I started learning from him the way he would do the stuff for his company, how to do the social, how to do the content creating. And it really opened up another road for me. And I really was like, wow, I really enjoy this content creating stuff. I really love it, the creativity. I come from a family of creativity. My grandfather, my mom, they're both artists. They're both creatives. So I always had that. And I was like, you know what, this can be something that I can merge both fitness and creative together and create something from here. So we started doing the sportswear. It was doing decent. And then we started growing the Instagram, pretty well. And things started to go up from there. And then I run into a buddy of mine at Equinox after I've been there for after I was there for 2 years. One of my buddies was like, hey, dude, I've been doing videos for Instagram, workout videos for X amount of time, and look at my, and at the time, I think I had about 15,000 followers. So we literally grew up, me and my buddy from the sportswear, we grew my following from 7,000 to like 15, 16. And then this guy from Equinox, my friend, he was like, look, I think we should start recording each other and doing fitness videos, and let's put each other on our platforms and we'll help each other out like that. And I was like, cool. It was working for him. He had about 35K followers, 40K followers. At the time, that was a lot back in 2013, 2014. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So we start doing it. So guess what happens? I start building attraction. I start building a group of people. I start building an audience, because during this time, a lot of the training styles that Equinox was doing with their trainers, with body weight, unconventional, unloaded movement training, all these weird tools that people weren't accustomed, all this body weight stuff, all this flowing stuff too, that's a big trend. A lot of people didn't know about this back in 2013, 2014. The reason this is such a big thing right now in today's era is because social media made it that way. But I used to have a hard time back when I was a trainer in 2013, 2014, getting my clients to do those exercises because they thought it was weird. They're like, oh, but that's not the typical traditional way. And I'm like, but this is more bang for your buck. This is much better for your body, and it's full body. but they didn't understand that back then. And it wasn't until a year or two in Equinox that they started being more open to it. But my Instagram, I was putting all of that out there. I was putting myself doing those weird, what you call weird, untraditional, unorthodox style of training. And now people on social are like, what is that? I've never seen that before. I've never seen those exercises. And people started asking questions. And then I would also use the scenery in Miami, the beach, the palm trees, the lifestyle, so I would do a lot of outdoor workouts at parks too. And a lot of people like that. I was doing workouts that required very minimal tools and required really only your body. So a lot of people are like, wow, I can work out anywhere. I can use very minimal tools and I can use my body. This is great. So I started building myself for that. And my following started growing. My friends' stuff started growing because we kept working it together. And I was like, man, there's something here. I really enjoy this. I think I can do something on my own one day. And I started thinking differently. During that time, I started self-developing too. And I started listening to entrepreneurs and podcasts. And I started getting involved with that a lot. And I started creating more of a vision where one day I can be at this level. I can own my own brand. I can own my own business. So my thought process was thinking differently. And I was like, Equinox is not my goal anymore. Creating a career at Equinox is not what I want anymore. And I realized that. I was aware of that. I was like, I want to be able to own my own brand. I want to be able to do what I want to be able to do one day and take control of my life in that way. Equinox is just a stepping stone, another stepping stone. So that's when I knew already with all this stuff I was doing that I had more on the table than what I was doing currently. And my friend, the one that we were doing the content, his name was Lewis, the one that we were doing the videos. So he one day comes to me and he says, hey, dude, I'm leaving Equinox. And I was like, oh, you're leaving? And this was already, I think I was 2 years and maybe like 7 months in working at Equinox. And almost 3 years. And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm leaving. My Instagram has grown so much and I'm getting a lot of clients from Instagram. I'm getting a lot of leads. I'm ready to go. And mind you, he had been there for 6 years already. So he'd been there longer than I have. So he ended up going to the management. He took that leap of faith and he told them, look, I'm leaving. My Instagram is doing very well. I'm going to start becoming an independent trainer. And he left Equinox. So what happened? What happened was that I saw he had something that we were both working on, filming each other, and he was able to jump and become on his own because of that. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. How something like this, our phones with social media, can now take us out of our regular jobs to do something we can do on our own now. And he had the audience. So what happened was, since they saw him do that and they knew that me and him were filming each other, they started getting scared. So guess what happened? They started hawk-eyeing me. They started getting on top of me. They started pressuring me. Hey, are you going to leave? Are you going to go? And I was like, no, I'm not going to go anywhere, And I wasn't really going to go anywhere. I wasn't ready to go, I felt, till maybe like another 8 months. And that pressuring, that constant on being on top of me, where are you going? Why aren't you here at the gym? Even though I didn't need to be there because I only had to be there when I trained my clients, they were just scared because they saw he left and they knew my following was growing. They knew I was doing a lot on social media. They didn't want me to leave as well. So I was glad that actually happened, because 3 months after my buddy left, I left. And it was after they would just kept pressuring and pushing and pushing. And I'm glad that happened that way. Even though I didn't feel ready, I'm glad that happened, because if not, I know that I wouldn't be doing the things I'm doing today if I waited longer at Equinox. So I had to make that next jump. And for making that next jump, I jumped and I started working at a small therapy clinic with 3 other buddies of mine that used to work for Equinox that were independent too. And I started working with them. I kept doing the sportswear. And then the sportswear stuff started taking a little dive due to issues my friend was having with his family, health issues and stuff like that. So we started going different routes. Sportswear stopped, and I just started doing training. I just focused on the training, but I kept doing my Instagram. I kept putting videos out, kept putting content, and I started collaborating with a lot of influencers in Miami, a lot of big influencers. Started doing partner workouts, started doing training videos for other big influencer girls that were around Miami, and that really started creating more of an audience towards my page at a faster rate. So while doing that, I decided with my two other guys from the therapy clinic that used to work for me, Equinox, we wanted to open up a gym. And that's where MSP comes into play. So we open up MSP. We decide after, I think it was about 5-6 months of working in that therapy clinic, we decide to leave and we open up MSP. So MSP comes to life. It's awesome. We have our own place. We're implementing our style of training, the untraditional stuff, anything from kettlebells, vipers, steel mace, sandbags, ropes, animal flow, body weight. And we had that place up and running for about a year. And of course, mind you, I keep hitting my Instagram. I'm growing it. And here comes another barrier down the road. So what happens is we had a warehouse and we were subleasing from a Pilates studio in the warehouse. So we were sharing that space. And the owner of the place decides he wants to sell the warehouse. So he wants to sell it to a tile company that's next to us. And the tile company buys out the owner. So guess what happens now? This guy says, I want to come in here and quadruple your rent. And we're like, we can't afford that. So we eventually get pushed out after a month and we all go our separate ways. So my friend, one of them opens up his own gym down the road. He opened up a boutique. The other one joined another group of trainers. They did something together. And I took all my people, started training them at my apartment gym, which is a really good gym. And I was like, okay, great. No overhead costs. I can train everybody here. And I kept doing my Instagram. And that was the one thing I had always kept doing was my Instagram. So that always kept saving me. That always kept me going. But it wasn't yet to the point where it wasn't creating the leverage I wanted that I am today. But it was just patience. So through that time, let's say a few months down the road, I get an email actually from PUMA. And this was the opportunity where PUMA came and they really liked what I was doing. They saw that I was collaborating with a lot of people. They saw that I was working with influencers. They saw that I was active in the Miami community. And they asked me, they wanted me to sign with them as an athlete for PUMA. And they were selecting few athletes around major cities around the world. And they wanted me to be one of them. And I was like, wow, I literally went on there and I copied and pasted the email. I Googled it just to make sure it was real because I was like, is this a hoax? But no, it was real. So I was like, this is unbelievable. I've always dreamed of being signed by a big brand. This was back when I used to think I was going to play in the NFL one day. But it came true in a different way. So I was so stoked. I was excited, became a PUMA athlete. I've been a PUMA athlete now for almost 2 years. And from there on, that's where things started really, really, really connecting the dots and blowing up. And that's where I started getting Onnit hit me up. I started working with some big supplement companies. I started working with other big brands. I started doing other really cool things that I wasn't getting before. And it was just all patient because it was consistency of what I was doing on my Instagram. And not only that, but I was also doing stuff with my girlfriend as well, where I was doing content creating for her stuff. So for a year, I learned how to content create really well and do video ads for her sportswear companies, which helped me for my own stuff. So going through that process really helped me to understand the content creating game, how to really study social media. And that's where I started getting these opportunities. So now we'll speed up a little bit moving forward. Let's say let's go last year. So last year, I started getting opportunities where Onnit flew me out to Texas. Now I'm still doing some cool stuff with them. PUMA, we had a huge summit here. We got to meet some really cool people, get me involved with a whole bunch of other athletes. So a lot of opportunities I didn't have before, getting paid through social media for some other companies that I'm doing gigs with, commercials, advertisements, and then pretty much now getting a pool of leads of clients because of what I do on Instagram. So I don't have to worry anymore as far as going after leads and doing this stuff because it comes to me through the social. So for me, it was just, I saw that social media was a huge impact on what I was doing in my business, that it was something that I knew I had to continue doing and not stopping. And then from there, I would have to say moving forward, kind of where I'm at now, it's pretty much pretty much building off this Instagram, and now I'm making it work for me where I'm opening up. I just opened up a media company, going back with my friend that we did the sports where he kind of went down his route, and then we linked up again back in November, December of 2018. And we're like, he started getting into the video game again, and he's really good at videography and content creating. And we're like, let's do this together. Let's really take this and really focus in. I think we can do something really big. And I promised myself that for 2019, I want to pump out some really killer ass content. And that's what we've been doing. So since of 2019, my content quality has gone to a whole nother level now. And it's just like, that's what I want to provide now every single time. And we decided to partner up again. And since of January 1st, we've been pumping out insane content consistently. Like the value has gone up. Like I've been able to also shift the way I want people to perceive me, as far as like not just a trainer anymore, but also as a coach, more of a coach and an entrepreneur. Because that was the other thing too. Like one day, I want to be able to create other streams where I don't have to just train anymore one-on-one. I want to be able to do training online. I want to be able to open or have my own fitness entrepreneur businesses. I want to be able to do other things that I want to do. So that was kind of the whole purpose of have people view me differently now. So I talk a lot more on my Instagram, where before I used to not. I used to just do the videos and the workouts. Now I do a lot of the talking in it. I'll come in and I'll talk to people about experiences and about other topics, about even advice on like how to be able to start your own business and how to be able to like make money and save money to start your own business and stuff like that, just because I've gone through it. So I want to share that. And that way people start viewing me as just not only as a trainer, but they see me as a whole coaching experience. And me and my buddy ended up now recently, about 2-3 months ago, we decided to open up a media company. So that's something that me and him have now, because we want to be able to help other fitness influencers, other fitness enthusiasts out there create their content for them, not only for me, but create their experience, create their brand name, their identity, their image, and other companies too. So we wanted to really harness into that media world. Like I was saying, I love content creating. So that's something else I'm doing now besides just the training. So it's really cool, man. I'm doing these different things, and I just see like a lot of things are aligning for me now. And I truly love it, especially with the internet world, the social media world. There's no limitations, man. It's like there's no ceilings. You can go as high as you want. And I'm going to start working also too on some selling some programs as well online. So that's something me and my buddy are working on. So we got a lot of big projects now, getting ready for the end of 2019 and 2020 that we're going to be rolling out. So it's going to be very exciting.
Wow. That's awesome and extremely inspiring. And I love how the progression of your story went from, I have this passion of moving and being in shape and fitness, and then you develop that and you used a few tools along the way, your Instagram and different content, and you just grown into this amazing person with this amazing brand, and that's awesome, man. That is so inspiring. That really is. That really is. Where did that love of fitness first come from? That love of moving? I mean, you talked about it a little bit early on. You said you just always did, but why? Why did you always love it?
So I've always, since I felt always tied to it. I felt like also too, it was part of me that like there's always an energy through fitness that I just can never receive that same feeling through anything else. And it was just like, it was healthy for me. It was a release for me. It was my own time. I knew I was just improving myself by doing fitness and health. And I always knew that it was going to be part of me for always the rest of my life, whether I trained or not, clients, whatever route I did in fitness, I knew it was always going to be part of me. So I always knew I had to stick myself in this category. And as time went on, I just also saw the opportunity where I started doing research too, and I started seeing the difference that the way that now that industries are putting money into health and fitness is not what it used to be. Since of 2010 to 2019, fitness has grown ridiculously in the amount of people doing it, becoming trainers, becoming coaches, working in a fitness business, opening up a gym or a boutique style place or anything related to wellness. And it's a multi-billion-dollar business. So it's only grown up, and people are becoming more aware of their lifestyle. People are becoming more aware of their health, their quality of life, and for me, at the beginning, I used to see fitness only as one way until I started opening my eyes with other people, coaches, workshops. And at Equinox, I started seeing more of the quality of the fitness. And that's really where it started opening my eyes and what the way I train now, because it's all about training for the long term for me. And it's all about training for longevity and to be able to live longer without pain, without discomfort, without any issues, and try to promote that as much as possible. It's not just about only looking good, but it's about feeling good on a daily basis and performing, because I want to be able to create, the way I tell people is I want to create athletes for the everyday world, because everybody here can be an athlete, because being an athlete is being a mover in the world we live in, because everything we do outside, every activity we do, that's a sort of a sport, and we're all athletes living in this world. And how are we going to be able to function and perform optimally at our highest level in this world, where we experience things, where we encounter things, and where our physical and mental state is going to be challenged. Because I don't just only focus on working with people physically, but also mentally, because I'm always big on, you have to have your physically fit and mentally fit tuned together to be able to work together to get the result you want. So I'm very big on that. And then moving the body, man, I'm all about moving the body on a constantly daily basis. Move. So this movement thing that I've created is just this: movement is medicine. Movement heals the body. You got to move your mind, you got to move your body, you got to move your soul. And you got to do this every single day to win, because if not, you will die. You stop moving, you will die. You stop moving your mind, you're going to die eventually, because you're going to be stuck and you're not going to be able to grow your mind to do certain things in life. You're going to stop moving your body. Well, you're going to start breaking down. Your joints are going to hurt. You're going to get into discomfort. Next thing you know, you're in a wheelchair, you're in bed, and the same thing with your soul. If you don't work on yourself, your inner self, you don't meditate, you don't try to spend time with yourself and figure things out with you and talk to yourself, like, you will die as a person, So it's just like, I'm very about those key things and about move all the time.
I love that philosophy of the connection between the mind and the body and the spirit. And it all has to do with developing and growing and moving. When did you first make that connection between you clearly it's very clear that if you don't move your body, you're not going to be in good shape. It's going to be very hard to, stay active, because like you said, you'll end up in a wheelchair, and that's not good. But when did you make that connection and start building this very wholesome view of the mind and the body? When did that really click?
So it really clicked for me when I saw my fitness, when I was just doing fitness and I wasn't working on my mindset. I really saw that I was limited. And it's not that I wasn't healthy. It's not that I wasn't in physically good shape. It's not that I didn't look good, but I wasn't at my best, and I didn't feel my best because my mind wasn't my best. And it wasn't until when I got introduced to listening to self-development, self-growth, and I started realizing that you have to exercise your mind, because our mind is a muscle, and our brain's and our brain in an essence is a muscle. We can grow it, so I needed to grow my mind. And when I started growing my mind and I started being aware of how important this was, I started seeing a difference also too in my physical work, because now I could push myself to other limits. Now I could take my body to other levels. Now I could take my body to other uncomfortable states or new methods of training or new experiences, because I wasn't stuck on just doing what I did with my body. Now I was like, because I had the mindset there. I had the mindset to be able to understand that I need to do these next steps. I need to do these things. I need to get to this level physically or mentally. So my mind really helped me to push myself to new limits. And it was as important. It wasn't until then that I really started realizing that there is a mental and physical connection at the same time. And it goes when you work out. When you're working out, your mind is working too. Especially with a lot of the training styles that I do today. It really hones in on challenging your mind and your body connection at the same time. So that neuromuscular connection of your body and mind working synergistically to perform a movement. So it challenges you. It challenges you to think. It challenges you to move. It challenges you to be able to accomplish something. And it just puts you also in an uncomfortable state, because if you're not used to this movement, your body and your mind have to find a way to figure it out to accomplish it. And I love that, because I feel a lot of people, especially nowadays, they don't want to put themselves in an uncomfortable setting, and there's nothing wrong with that. If anything, you're going to learn, you're going to grow, and you're going to be able to cherish more from that, because when you put yourself more in uncomfortable situations, you learn how to overcome things. You learn how to obtain new skills. You learn to overcome things that you maybe could have not overcome in the past. And I'm all about that. I'm all about every single day doing something that's uncomfortable, whether it's for my mind, my body, that I know that I need to do, because it's only going to make me better.
It seems like one of the biggest contributing factors to your growth was that consistency on Instagram and consistently producing high value content, going into the videos, doing the collabs, getting connected within the community. And, now you're at hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. If somebody wants to recreate that type of engagement and build their own tribe and create a group of people that follow them, do you think it's as important to come from a place of strong technical knowledge? Like, you came from a place of a very deep understanding of fitness and training and coaching. Do you need that, or can you just put out content? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So let's say we grab another fitness trainer or somebody else who's in my field. You just got to start. I feel like a lot of people are always it has to be perfect. It has to be exactly like this. And they plan, and they never get anywhere because they're not taking action. So you got to take action. You got to start somewhere the way I started, with whatever you have, and you just start putting what you know and what you practice and preach on a daily basis, and show your process of growth. Because what I was putting before is not what I'm putting now, because I didn't know what I know now, and I'm not going to put things I don't know on there just to put them to say, oh, because it looks cool. No, I want to show people what I do know, and also to what I'm learning along the way, always showing them what I'm learning. And then once I learn those things and master them, now I can talk about it more. Now I can show it to them more. And of course, the same way I study fitness and health, I'm always, because I enjoy it, I'm always studying, social media, and I'm always now studying about, new ways to be able to get in front of your audience, and new ways to be able to target certain, audiences, and be able to get your message out across, and just figure out what's working, what's not working, experimenting. So yeah, I would say put some time into learning, about this world, and put some time into learning on some of the technicality. I'm not saying it's obvious, not everything. I think more important, just getting content out there is more important first. Once you start getting that set and consistently, and you start seeing an audience and growth, then I would say start paying some attention to more the technicality stuff on social, and how you can get a little fancier with it, and how you can learn certain tricks and stuff like that. But just start, just start. That's what I did. And that's where I started seeing the growth. And then now I've been a little more involved on learning more about the technicality part of social media and online and all that stuff.
That's interesting. So it seems like, let's say I'm a gardener, right? And I want to talk about gardening. What it seems like is you need to know a little bit about it, but then creating content about the journey of what you're learning and as you're growing is more important, and just getting started with it is more important than being the top expert in gardening, like the #1 Harvard botanist of, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, man. No, and I definitely agree. And it's like grabbing that same concept of being a gardener. let's say you just started being a gardener, talk about what you know. Don't try to talk about the things you don't know, and don't try to do the things you don't know because that's what you think is sexy or what people want. No, give people what you know as a gardener. If this is the only stuff you know right now, put that out, and then also put out the process and what you're learning currently of whatever it is that you're learning to be a better gardener, the best gardener. And then as you get to those pedestals and you master those things, then you can talk about those things, you know, and that's where you start growing. And people are going to be like, man, I remember when this guy started here, he would talk about this. This was his process. Now he's here. Holy crap. He's a top gardener in the world. You know, like it's just that it's documentation of your life, you know, documentation of your steps and documentation of what you're doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and how you're growing as a person, how you're growing in your field, the messages you're bringing across to your people. Are you also connecting with your audience? Because that's the other thing that's important is, do you write back? Do you respond to your audience when they write to you? You know, that's something I always make a habit is I make sure I comment to as many or all my people that comment to me. Same thing with DMs. I get people will be like, holy crap, on DM, you replied back to me. I never thought you were going to reply. And it's just like, but why? You know, why? Why do you think I wasn't going to reply? And I asked them, no, because your Instagram is big and I'm small. And I'm like, but that doesn't mean anything. You know, it just means that, you know, there's people out there who maybe don't want to give you attention because maybe they think they're too good for you. And I don't think I'm too good for anybody. I was at your level too, you know, so I used to know what it felt like to be that person at the beginning and then want to reach out to somebody else and I wouldn't get a response. And I'm not saying that maybe they didn't do it on purpose. Maybe they didn't see it because I'm sure they get a lot of messages, but there are people who won't respond, you know? So I always try to do my best to respond to as many people as possible because those people will then stick with you and those people will become your loyal follower, your loyal audience. They'll eventually, you know, talk to other people about you, their friends, their family, and they're going to feel like they're part of your tribe, your community. And once you start building a community, a tribe, that's a way of your own personal branding right there in a sense, because now they see who you are, what you do, and they want to be part of that, you know. And that's kind of like what I with my brand, you know, I started setting myself apart, which is the other thing I told a lot of young trainers or any business owners. You got to also find what sets you apart and what makes you different from all these from other people doing what you do, you know, what makes you unique, you know. And it's just like from there you can capitalize from that, you know. So you know, one of the things I get all the time is my beard and my long hair, you know, simple as that. You know, it could be, you know, my beard, my long hair, you know, sets me apart. My socks too, I'm always wearing long socks. You know, my style, the way I look sets me apart from other trainers. People know me for that, you know. And then also to the way I do my style, my content, the way I speak, you know, I'm trying to be different. And don't get me wrong, I have people that I look up to and I have guys who I follow who I love their stuff. And you can get little ideas and you can pinpoint little things. You can get little highlights of things that you're like, you know what, that ties in with what I do. This ties in with what I do. That fits in my philosophy. That, and grab little ideas. But at the end of the day, you want to be you and you want to portray you of what you do and how you are as a person. Because a lot of people also too, they're going to go for you because you're a personality, you know. And it's the same way as the way I started training one-on-one clients. I had a manager to always tell me, if you cannot connect with somebody, there's no business. So when people asked him, personal training one-on-one, what's the first thing you need to learn as a personal trainer? Is how to connect with people before even training anybody. Forget training anybody. Forget even how to train somebody. If you do not know how to connect with somebody, that training will never happen. So you're never going to be able to help that person get to their goal because you didn't know how to connect with them. You know, and then also too is knowing when you connect, when you get with that person, also being aware if that person does connect with you and not being scared to pass them on to somebody else who can help them, because maybe you guys aren't a fit for each other. So it's learning how to connect and also being aware of, is this person a right fit for you and a right fit for her or him? Should I pass this on to somebody else who can connect with them better and get them the help they need? And it's being aware of that too and being humble enough to do that. You know, it wasn't until then that I realized that's how you're going to win. And I do that all the time with my friends. I got other training buddies are high quality where I've gotten guys who I've talked to and I've messaged and they'll be like, I really want to do this, you know, about this training. And I'd be like, look, I think that you'd be a great fit. My friend actually specializes on this fitness tool. And I think that you're going to be able to connect with him really well. Can I connect you guys? Boom. There you go. And my friend's done the same for me. Hey, dude, I got somebody who specializes in this. He's better than I am. This is what this is his philosophy. I feel that you tie with him very well. I think you're going to get along with him. Like, pass it on. So we do that all the time because there's enough for everybody to eat. And at the end of the day, it's about helping the person. It's not about you. It's about them. So you have to make it about them. And then, going to the connection, it's pretty much knowing how to talk to these people and learning how to connect with them, how to gain trust from them in you, because they're going to trust you with their body. So that's kind of like what I've always said was something important to be able to learn, especially in brand, and you can apply this to anything, is learning how to connect with others. So once you do that, I think that also helps you build what you're trying to build.
Dude, I'm not sure if you're also part psychic, because I was literally about to ask you that question. I was literally about to ask you what your philosophy was on developing those deep, meaningful, and genuine connections with another person. And I feel like you answered it in depth, but I did want to give you the opportunity to go even more in depth if you would like to.
Definitely, man. So just a little more in how to connect with these people. It's you got to do a lot of listening. A lot of times we can get carried away in talking, especially in the training world where we're doing an assessment, we're building a report. You only have that one time really to assess them, and maybe a second time to give them an evaluation. So it's really hard to really build a relationship in such a short period of time. So one of the best ways to do it is really start listening to them from the moment you meet with them. Shake their hand firmly, tune in, show them that you take interest, and listen to them talk, and just follow up with follow-up questions, and just really pay attention and copy their language, their body language, and make them feel like you want to be part of their mission, and that's what it is, and you will have different types of people. So it's also learning the personalities of other people and how to match their personalities, and also making them feel comfortable. There's some people who might need to be taken by the hand, and there's others that don't, and it's knowing when to apply that at what time, so it's just like being aware of the person you're with, so that from the moment you start building that connection and relationship, you can deliver, and that's something that's always really important. That's something you just learn along the way by getting in front of people. So at the same time, connecting is you're going to be able to learn that and build that by just getting in front of people. So if you're scared to get in front of people, you're not going to really learn how to connect with people, So I've had my fair share of failures. I've had my fair share of embarrassments. I've had my fair share of, getting stuck in the middle of a talk and freezing up. It's going to happen, but that's how you learn eventually how to connect with people properly and show them that you're interested in helping them, and the same applies for social media. Connect with your people. If you see that somebody always shows you love, always comments on your stuff, is always engaged with them, dude, if I see somebody like that, I go in their Instagram, I spam them up a little bit, like a few of their pictures, comment on their posts, and I'll be like, yo, thank you so much for your support. Trust me, it doesn't go unseen. I truly appreciate it. Why? Because that's going to let them know that you see what they're writing out and what they're engaging with your stuff, and they're going to feel good about it, because then they're going to feel like, man, he noticed me. He noticed me, and he noticed what I'm doing for him. So, those little things of finding ways to connect with your people on social or in real life, however it is, just connect with people and don't be scared to do it, because building relationships is what's going to build future experiences, future business, and future wins. So connect.
Dude, I got to say, it's really hard to not like you. Like you're dropping so much value. Like I'm so inspired right now. I really
I
am.
appreciate that, man. I'm glad to hear that, man.
So I do want to know, what is your greatest theory?
My greatest theory. In what sense? Just general?
Yeah, whatever comes to mind first.
My greatest theory. I have a few. Let me see. All right, so I guess maybe I can give you two, but we'll talk about fitness. So in fitness, I have a theory that through the practices of movement and flows, which flows is one of the styles of training that I do, which could be we use with tools. A lot of people do kettlebell flows. I do animal flow, body weight flows. I have a theory that with flowing, I feel it's a way to transfer energy throughout your body, and it's a way of healing your body through these movement patterns. And I also have a theory where when you flow, your mind gets into a creative state. I've had this conversation with a friend, which I've done it all the time. When you're on a run and you're moving, you're flowing. It's called flow state. So in that flow state, creativity comes out, ideas come out, business wins come out, relationship wins come, whatever you're talking about. A lot of big ideas, a lot of solutions and problems that you might experience, answers might come out for you. So we call it flow state. So that can be applied for your mind, doing stuff for your mind. What we're doing right now, I can get on a flow state and start answering things. Same thing goes with the fitness, the movement. When I'm in that flow, ideas come out, creativity comes out, answers come out. I start solving problems that I've been trying to figure out with my own body. And I start being aware of like, holy crap, I didn't know that I can do this. I didn't know that I had this going on. I didn't know I was limited here. So you start answering a lot of your own questions, and creativity. I add new pieces to my flow, to my exercises through this flow state, because I can create, and it's like a freedom of free play in an essence. So I have a theory that in flow state, a lot of creativity comes out of flow state, whether it's what we're doing now or in exercise.
That's an awesome theory. I want to hear the others.
So for sure. So let's see. It doesn't have to be about fitness, right?
No, it could be whatever.
All right. So all right. So my other theory, which actually me and my buddy were talking about it, we're talking about dimensions. So we're talking about like the quantums, and about realms, and about like dimensions being stacked upon each other. And it's weird because lately, in the last month and a half, I've been watching some shows with my girlfriend, and it's all about dimensions. We've watched Stranger Things. We watched the OA. We watched the new Avengers movie, which had to do with time travel and dimensions. My friend randomly brought up the topic to me, and I saw literally a billboard. I want to take a picture of it, and it talked about like it was like a funny thing, and it's like enter the dimensions. And it had a funny thing, and I was just like, why is there so many things about dimensions and traveling appearing to me in such a short time than ever before, And of course, they say when you're focused on one thing, you'll start seeing this other stuff. But I just think it's cool. I believe in it. I think that there are other dimensions. I think that there are other, and I don't view it. It's funny because I see it more as energy transfer. I see it more as like, it's our energy that flows through these dimensions, and it's another version of us that could be higher. And that's why sometimes we're like, wait, I figured out the answer, and you don't know how you figured out the answer, or I've been here, or I've seen this before, or one of those weird movements. And I think it's like your higher self in another dimension is transferring that energy to you, because you're such on a high energy level right now in your current dimension that you like bounced, and you got that energy transfer from your higher being dimension. And he's like, damn, he finally got it. Shit, thank God. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's something like that where you can figure out things like that. And I feel like there is other dimensions stacked upon, whether they're backwards or going up, because some of the stuff that we can do in life and some of the stuff that we can do with our energy and our bodies, it's amazing. And it's just like, there has to be more out there. There has to be more out there, whether it's the same life we're living right now, just a different version, a different me, a different you. We could be doing somebody else doing a different kind of career in this dimension, whatever it is. But I do feel that there is other pathways out there. And I feel that, I feel like it's cool to know that, or cool to, think about that, because I feel like there's creativity in that, So I also feel that, I started laughing. But I also feel like through my movement, through my exercises, with the energy that you harness and let go, like I was saying, things happen, like you can do things like, for example, you've heard of those situations with adrenaline rushes and stuff like that, that things unleash. It's the same thing. Like when I do some of my movements and I'm on that flow state, Like I sometimes get these energy rushes that I've never felt before. And the way I let go of them is crazy. And then some of the thoughts I get is insane, of like going back to the flow state of answering certain things. I'm like, how the hell did I get this after doing this? You know, and I think it's just more of a whole energy thing. And the energy travels. It's not that you physically travel. I think it's your energy travels and it comes back and forth. So I think it's more something like that. And I feel like one day that people are going to be able to learn how to like actually control it and do it whenever they want. But that's one of my theories. That's one thing that me and my friend been talking about lately. It's just dimensions, energy shifts, you know, other realms. Like he spoke about, like, he feels like when we all, our bodies die, that we end up going through a black hole to a different dimension. So that's one of his things. And we're kind of talking about that, and how that time travel is something that can exist, not the way that maybe it's portrayed, but but it does exist in a certain way, where I think it does through energy.
That's interesting, of the idea that you can tap into this flow state, and because you're, I guess, moving or existing on such a high level of consciousness, or you're creating so much energy that you're actually tapping into a whole nother dimension, getting energy from there. And that's like fully,
Boom.
yeah, that's cool. That's a really cool theory.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Now you got me on this whole other tangent, because like me and him were talking again too. Like we were saying, like, if you move fast enough, you're moving faster than the time you're in right now. So like, and I think there's been some tests on, but like, for example, let's say right now we're going at this speed and we're able to go at the speed of light. So if we move at the speed of light, like we were going over some stuff we were hearing, if you move at the speed of light 10 years at the speed of light, let's say on Earth, let's say we're in a super vehicle that can move 10 years in speed of light, and we're still going through our daily life, and there's somebody moving at the speed of light for 10 years, our planet and where we are would have aged 10,000 years.
Whoa.
Because they're moving so fast they're breaking time. They're breaking what's called time. They're breaking our time. Even though they're there in our dimension, they're breaking time, and actually saying like how that person would have not aged the way we have aged, because they're going so fast. I don't know, like, it's crazy.
So let me ask you this then. What would happen if you were in that vehicle and you're moving faster than the speed of light, and I'm still on Earth not moving that fast, and we're still doing this live stream? What would happen then? How would that work?
Oh man, that'd be crazy.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
And if some scientist out there actually knows the answer, I would really, really love to know what would go on in that scenario, because now I'm really curious.
Yeah. And just to drop a little one more thing, my bad, but you just got me on this. So me and my friend, we were talking yesterday. His name is Kevin. He's actually the one that we're doing the media company with. But we were talking about it, and we got into the topic of like, why do you think sometimes too, like, people who have a higher level of thinking, or people who are so in tune with their health, like physical and mental, sometimes you see how I don't know if you've seen, but sometimes like they age differently, or sometimes you see how like they're such ahead of the game. And like, sometimes I feel like they end up feeling like they're younger or something. And I think it's because their mind is moving so fast. The energy in their mind is moving so fast, and physically they're moving so fast that everybody else who's not mentally there or physically there or moving at that level, why do you think they age faster than the person who is always thinking, doing physically? I don't know. It's just like, in a chemical way, like I feel like your body doesn't give the time to be able to like oxidate you. So you're slowing down your oxidation time because of how fast your mind energy is going and your physical energy going, that you're not giving enough time for your body to age you at a certain rate, where for somebody else it will, where they don't have the time, the speed of time in their mind and in their physicality to be able to slow down that aging process. Because aging process, in a theory, they say it's a defect. It's a defect in our natural being system. We are born with a defect of aging and oxidizing, because forgot the name, but my friend was mentioning is something that we have in our bodies that trigger that state of oxidizing, where when we're doing these mental energy movements so fast and physicality movements so fast, we actually tamper with those little things in our body to cause them to slow down and not work efficiently to age us. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that I mean, hey, that could definitely be. I feel like there could be a lot of actual science behind that. I don't know exactly what that science would be, but I mean, you do see people who it's like they don't age, or they're like 70 or 80 and they're still freaking rocking it like they're 40.
It's
And
true.
I think it's like a lifetime thing where they have this lifetime practice. Here's another thing too. Let's say you're operating at that level, or let's say you get into the state of flow and you have an idea and you're like, oh my goodness, that's ridiculous. Like, that is a crazy idea. It would be amazing, but that's a crazy idea. Is it partly fear that prevents you from actually going and trying to get to hit that thing? Is it fear that you're like, oh, I'm scared, I don't know if I could do it, that you're not allowing yourself to get into that state of flow, to tap into that energy all the time? Like, what's preventing us from doing that? What's preventing us from like always operating at that peak level?
It's funny that you say that, because me and my buddy have talked about certain little things. Another guy who's a coach as well. And we were talking about the flow state, and then we were talking about disturbances, and we were talking about blockers, kind of like let's say somebody puts a cell blocker and you're not getting a cellular signal. There's disturbances and blockages all around us all the time. And that's what's not fully letting us get to the level we want to get to, or access our flow state, or access the higher level being that we can be, because we have these distractions all the time in our society, and all these things that are pulling us away, in these negative charges that aren't letting us move up in life, or move up in our mind, or in our physicality. So yeah, it's different things that are blocking us, our frequencies, to be able to get better. And I think it's just like, eventually to time, if you really want to work on yourself, you can learn how to slowly break some of those frequencies off, or learn also too how to, like, if you catch yourself where you're not on point, you can switch that shit off immediately, because you already learned the tools to do that and get back on the frequency you're supposed to be on.
That's cool. Well, Anthony, I'm so thankful that that you came on the show today, and that we got to go off on these little tangents at the end. I think that's a lot of fun, man. So I really appreciate your time. And you're speaking to hundreds of thousands of people all the time. You're helping them get fit. You're helping them get healthy. You're helping them tap into a better part of who they are and to improve their life. And I just want to recognize you and thank you for all of the good work that you do, and all of the people that you help, and really say thank you.
Truly appreciate that, man. Truly appreciate that. I truly appreciate you having me on your show. It's an honor, and I've just had a lot of fun, man. You even opened up topics for me to talk about that no other speaker has had me talk about. So I thought that was really cool. That was something new for me. So you see, new experience, new things that I learned today too. So I'm really glad for that. I'm really appreciative for that.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I just have two more quick questions for you. Then we'll wrap it on up. The first is there anything about yourself that you think is an important part of who you are that we did not talk about today? In other words, what did I miss?
Anything about myself. So, I would gotta say is that I'm a practitioner, always a practitioner. So I'm always practicing and getting better. I never stop doing that. And I feel the moment you stop being a practitioner is the moment you stop growing. So I always practice what I preach, practice on getting better on whatever topic it is, just to grow as a person, to grow as a person, grow as a human being, and be able to contribute more for my audience and for everybody out there.
Last question. I'm 24. And the reason I say that is because it's relevant to the question. What question or questions should I be asking you, specifically me, asking specifically you, that I just wouldn't think to ask?
So first of all, I think you said some awesome questions. I think all your questions were great. Um, if you were to ask any more questions about me specifically for what I do, maybe questions that maybe talk a little bit about what my style of training brings for people, the benefits of it, and what style is that, and then also to a little bit more about how I built my brand or how my brand came to be. Even though we touched upon certain things but like maybe a little honing in a little more about my brand specifically as well. But that's pretty much it, man. I think everything you asked was great, man. Your show is awesome, on point. I truly enjoyed it, man. I truly enjoyed it.
Thank you very much again. And I really do appreciate your time. And to everybody who's watching, listening, I want to thank y'all very, very much. I love y'all from the bottom of my heart. And I'm so grateful for your support and for sticking with us till the end here. Y'all rock. Y'all are my favorite people. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And Anthony, you want to give us some actionable things that we can end the show on? I know we're all fired up right now. So what are some actionable things that we can do moving forward to improve our lives?
Definitely. So something I always like to leave off people with is go out there today. Go out there today. Go out there today and do something uncomfortable. Do something that that's been itching you, that you need to do, that's going to make you a better person and get you to the next level, but you're uncomfortable. You're maybe scared to do it. Go out there and do it. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself mentally and physically and do that uncomfortable thing and put yourself in that uncomfortable environment and scenario, because I guarantee you that when you get out of it, you're going to be more confident. You're going to be able to have a better understanding of it. You're going to understand yourself better, and you're going to not be scared to do other uncomfortable things as much anymore because you put yourself in it, and it's a new thing. And when you do new things in your day, I think your day becomes more exciting. And that's why I keep my day so exciting, because I'm always trying to do something uncomfortable and new, and I'm always looking forward to that every single day, and do that for every day. It could be the smallest uncomfortable thing to the biggest uncomfortable thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. All right, people. I love y'all, and I will see you on the next episode.